You're listening to the Belmar Bytes podcast, brought to you by Belmar Consulting.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Belmar Bytes podcast. Matt, good to see you. This is the first conversation of at least the first one we recorded in 2026. So excited to be doing this again after a few weeks off over the holidays and as we march towards the end of 2025. But how you doing?
Doing good. New year, same podcast. So you know what? We're going to hit this one with all the energy, start the year on a good note, which these are some of my favorite episodes because probably going to go through some predictions here, Scott. But hey, it's good to be back. I feel like it's been a little while since I've been on the pod. So it's great to see how much it's been growing. Great to see all of these great guests that have been on, and certainly excited to be here.
Yeah, well, this one is number 25. So we've made it to episode 25. I was going to actually look this up before to see how many podcasts start and don't get beyond the first five. We're at 25. So man, before we keep doing these weekly, we'll be I guess close to 75 by the end of 2026. So, but yeah, they're fun. And as you alluded to, there's been other guests and other conversations, and we're getting some really interesting conversations happening with customers, which has been fun, and it's actually been really cool just to see their response to being invited onto the pod and just the energy they bring into the discussion. So 2026, here we are. Over the holidays, I was doing some reading and just trying to, for myself, think about like what's where do we as an organization see ourselves going? Where do I, on a personal level, where am I going in 2026? And the theme that just seems to be sort of all around us is artificial intelligence. And we actually did a prediction show back in October, I think it was, post Dreamforce. What was going to happen, at least with Salesforce over the coming year, and some of those are in flight now, but here we are at the start of the calendar year, and we're going to talk about what's coming for all of us, not just from a business or Salesforce perspective, but what's happening. So, why don't you kick us off?
I think we need to double click there. You said you were reading. What kind of things were you reading? Are you reading a book right now? Or are you just getting this inflow of information? Whenever people say they're reading, I like to drill into that because you and I have talked about paper versus digital often, and I think that'll flow into this. So what kind of things are you reading right now?
Yeah, it's not paper content, it's digital content, but
Okay.
and just trying to, I guess what I've been trying to figure out is how do we respond? How do we advise our customers? So listening to podcasts, reading articles, just I had I read less email and I read more articles over the last I guess 2 to 3 weeks, and so yeah, nothing, no book or no recommendation coming for me right now, but more just trying to absorb as much as I could over the last little bit on just what other people are thinking, and trying to from that create some perspective for myself. But I guess when we think about 26, what's your first thought in terms of if we were to listen to this show a year from now, what's one thing you think that will have happened that you're going to call right now?
Yeah, I think we would, we can open this podcast with and answer that with AI and then close the podcast because we can't get away from 2026 without talking about AI. So maybe I'll double click and qualify what I mean by that. What do I expect to happen in 2026? I think the last 2 to 3 years have really been this from a market perspective. Is AI real? Is it actually gonna have an impact, or is it kind of that fun chat-based interface that you can ask silly questions to and have an answer faster than your traditional search? And I think over that time frame, it has bolstered itself both at the individual and consumer level, but also at the enterprise level and organizational level. And it has stood that test of time where it's no longer a fad technology or something that is interesting or new shiny object. It is caked into everything now. So what do I expect over 2026? I don't think it's a matter of is AI going to work. I think now we're starting to see it almost operate like an operating system, if you will, or like the latest update that you get on your iPhone or Android. It's now there. Now it's like, how do we fine tune it further? And I think the change that you'll see this year, I alluded to paper-based, paper and digital. You and I have talked a lot about that. I actually think that the overlap between AI and physical, be it robots, be it like physical automation, I think we're going to see a lot of leaps this year as well. So maybe not quite a fulsome prediction, but I do expect that if that wasn't on people's radars before, and I know there's like humanoid robots, there's automation that's occurring inside factories, there's automation that's occurring in vehicles and in everything, and AI specifically, I think we're going to see a lot of big moves there. So that's kind of my high level, and then we
Yeah.
can talk about what it looks like business. But maybe back to you, Scott. What's your big prediction for 2026?
Yeah. I mean, I've one of the pieces of content that I consumed was an interview that Elon Musk did. Was yeah, an interview podcast. It was a long format. I think it was like 2.5 hour, and just talking about just the speed at which things progress. Kind of a year out from now. And I guess over the last, ChatGPT came out about just over 3 years ago, and as you shared, it was an interface that you can ask questions, and that's actually been super helpful
Hmm.
to all of us. I know we've talked about that before on the pod, and it's just we use it every day, and it's I actually can't even imagine not having that tool now at my disposal. So, um, but just the rate of change that Elon Musk is forecasting, and so I guess for me, I think of like 2026 is a year where uh, a lot of people wake up to the fact that there's this tsunami that is coming in terms of advancement that like
Hmm.
who knows, does that hit all at once? Does it I'm not I don't know if that I've got any of that figured out yet, but it's just this, it feels like there's just this tidal wave that is about to hit shore, but you can't see it yet. But you'll get a view of it just before it hits, and then we'll be overwhelmed by this. But so I think for 2026, it's uh, it's people just really coming to grips with this is what we need to do within our
Hmm.
organization. And it's interesting. You read articles and listen to content about you had mentioned humanoid robots and sort of autonomous vehicles and autonomous factories. Um, the time horizons that are being talked about, they just seem so short to me that I just can't see how that is possible. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Who knows? But just based on history, like getting things changed that fast is like it's next to impossible. But the the appetite and more so just the necessity to adapt is going to be there. So, I mean, one idea that I was thinking about was just we provide a service that's attached to technology to enable organizations to do more with less, to be more efficient. But what's going to happen in these organizations sort of outside of this technology that we support? And I'm thinking a little bit about that, and these humanoid robots taking over manual and physical type jobs. I was one episode going back a few in talking to the CEO of the Calgary Food Bank. I was thinking about an organization like that. Like they move a lot of physical
Yeah.
product, and how does automation help that organization? And with that investment in automation, does that drive a better bottom line so that they can
Mhm.
buy more food, buy more, invest in more locations, get food out into communities that maybe they are underserved or they just couldn't serve economically before. You and I were recently in a Waymo in San Francisco. You think of, and I mean, there were some ideas that I know we talked about just, in conversation with customers while we were there about, kids getting delivered to school in an Uber or in a Waymo. And that's the concept that, I mean, my
Yeah.
kids are old enough that I don't have to worry about them getting to school anymore, but it just like how much that's changed. So it just, even if we think about the distribution of food within, our food bank customers, utilizing this self-driving automation, I think it really does open up an incredible number of new opportunities for these organizations to serve the community in ways that just were not economically possible before.
Yeah. You referenced, I guess, overall people coming to grips or being comfortable with it as well. And you know what? It still surprises me how quickly one technology moves, but also actually how quickly people adapt to and adopt these new technologies. And the example that came to mind when you're referencing that was, I even think of something like the floppy disk back in the day. Floppy disk to CD to USB to cloud to
Yeah.
uploading things to Google Drive. And now I don't even remember the last time I plugged a USB into a computer. So just that continuum as well, that moved
Yeah.
fast, but it just over time you start to realize, oh hey, there's no more CD-ROM. Like you can't even put CDs in now, or you can't. There's not even any USB plugs into something outside for charging. So um, it yeah, it seems like, oh, how is that going to occur? Can this be really that far away? But time and time I've been proven wrong in just how quickly technology adapts and just people will get used to it. You even referenced using like a chat-based interface like ChatGPT, and even a couple of years ago, I would have just defaulted to Google everything. Now I don't. Now I plug it into some type of AI model that it just distills down. It's just so much more efficient, but also so much more value giving as well. So I don't have to scroll through six sponsored ads and whatnot. So, which just before I forget, that was a great episode that you had with Melissa from Calgary Food Bank. That was awesome. She's awesome, and I think that's a really cool and a real world example too. But yeah, Scott, appreciate you sharing your predictions. I'll go next, and we'll kind of bounce back and forth. And what else do we see happening? So AI, that has made its way on both of our number one on the list. I think something that will come up even further this year is security and trust. So the the reality is, as AI constantly evolves and changes the technology and technical and physical landscape, the need for staying on top of what cyber security is and security and trust in those models is going to grow even further. I I contrast this to, I think it was maybe a previous FBI director. It's had a quote of, "It's not when you're going to get hacked, it's if you're going to. Sorry, it's not if you're going to get it, it's when you're going to get hacked." So
Yeah.
just like that, it's now totally changed. So I think attacks and whatnot are real and they're certainly going to evolve. But I think the necessity for cybersecurity is going to grow even further. And this trust layer is going to grow even further. It's going to be caked into that. And how I expect this to materialize both in organizations and businesses, I expect there to be a almost outsized investment in cybersecurity and protecting against that as well, because the landscape is constantly changing. So just like you started, I think one of our first couple episodes, you had said this question you're asking CEOs and execs is, what is your AI strategy? I think AI strategy cannot be accomplished without what is your security strategy as well.
hmm
So that's kind of my prediction: security trust as it pertains and outsized investments on that in the AI space. What do you think?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I certainly, security has, security is, I guess, not really a sexy topic at all. In that, you assume security is in place, and you only know it isn't when it hits the front page of your favorite app. But yeah, I mean, it is interesting to think about the. Let's put it this way: 2026, will people be more or less dependent on data than they were in 2025? I mean, they're going to be more dependent on their data, and that will just continue to grow. So the security of that data is paramount. I mean, data is everything. So when we think about IT systems, security is, security is number one, and certainly Salesforce has a strong track record in terms of data security. But at the end of the day, it's up to the individual client and their or the user, we'll call it, and whatever their security policy is, as it pertains to gaining access to that environment. And so, I mean, there's lots of different ways that we could, or a lot of different directions we could go in terms of security. But I agree with you that security is paramount. And I guess anybody who's listening, if you have questions about that, we certainly can offer some opinion on what you can do to harden and secure your environment so that you are protecting your data, your clients' information, and your teams. Um, I guess I was, as we've been talking, I've been thinking about other use cases that may uh, open up. I guess that's one of the amazing things about technology. And I'll maybe reference a quick example. I was talking to a customer in the last couple of days about uh, they'd moved from an older system. They'd moved to Salesforce, going back, I guess, a couple of years ago. And we see this a lot, but most of our customers, we're just starting a project, they're so deep in the weeds they can't see a way out. And but it's interesting to get the perspective of a customer who's now a couple of years into using Salesforce, and the comment that they just see so many more opportunities ahead now that they're on Salesforce. And I guess that's such an interesting thing to me. And with technology and with the just not specifically Salesforce, but just the broader acceleration that we're seeing with AI, what opportunities that just aren't even in view today are going to
Yeah.
come into view in 2026. So that example I gave of using autonomous vehicles, maybe the first wave of that is using Uber, using Tesla, once they automate the fleet and make it available to
Yeah.
drop a package in the back seat and have it dropped off somewhere. Like, what else is going to come into view? Um, I think we've talked about this before, of tools like Slack being the front door. I think there's just going to be more automation around the processing of data and the like insights being pulled from that data and delivered to a user, be that a frontline user that needs information about a client they're working with, or an executive who's trying to make decisions about
Mhm.
some forward-looking things. And so I just think there's going to be more automation, and there's such a big opportunity for more automation around data and data prediction, or prediction using data. And I know this exists today, but it doesn't feel to me like it's pervasive. Where
Yeah.
so I'm calling that in 26 as something that is going to happen, where there's just going to, and it'll likely be someone like a Salesforce that just continues to push the boundaries in terms of delivering high quality information back to their customers through automation. And if this does happen, which I think it is going to happen, it's going to be really exciting, because it just means you're in the tool less, working to find information, and the tool is now working for you, and it's delivering information and insight that previously just would have taken a lot of effort to go and find.
Yeah. It's a good point that you bring up. I when you share just like delivering the insights, I think something else that will functionally change um, is the expectations that individuals, executives, consumers, end users have of technology. I think the expectations are just going to go that much higher. And I think of this as, when's the last time you've been to a website and it's taken over 10 seconds to load on that website? And you've probably bounced off that website before it's even loaded. But I even think of just that like expectation that one, a website's going to operate a certain way, buttons are going to be of a certain color, the design is going to be of a certain orientation, but also the speed and performance is going to be of a certain expectation factor. And that is very different than what it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. So same with AI. I mean, the insights, they can be had and they will be had, and the ability to do this so much faster. All that's going to do is just ratchet up that high water mark of, okay, this is what I expect. And I expect this level of detail, this level of granularity, but also this level of accuracy this much faster. So
Yeah.
expectations, I think, are going up, which then is going to put even more onus on organizations, especially when they're integrating AI into this, to make sure that whatever insights are coming out can be trusted. I don't think it's going to be a matter of building I read this somewhere actually, viewing data integration as building plumbing or building the piping. I think it's going to be switched. The way that it's thought of in the mind is going to be less of a plumbing and less of a piping and building that out to, well, how can I get this answer and how can I get this answer faster? Because that piping and that plumbing is just commonplace. That should already exist. And now it's going to be, how quickly can you tell me where 30% of my revenue is going to come from for the next year? Like these kind of pointed questions, almost kind of what business intelligence was doing prior to. It's like that's just going to be an expectation. So I think this presents a really unique opportunity for Salesforce, for partners, and for a partner like ourselves as well, in that AI is not a set and forget. Same with the CRM. It's not a set and forget model
Yes.
where it will learn. But as you've heard, AI has hallucinations, it drifts, there's bias. It's going to be your job to make sure you're maintaining what the KPIs should be, what the thresholds should be, and steering it back in the right direction. I would say we're going to start to see it learn even faster, but it still needs that human push in the whatever direction it is, so it can train off the right basis as well. And that kind of goes to my last prediction here, which just I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about Salesforce and what Salesforce's kind of goals will be for 2026 and where I expect them to take this. Agentforce, their kind of premium product as it pertains to AI, has taken a big jump and leap over the last year and even further. I mean, you and I were at Dreamforce I think that was in October last year.
October. Yeah.
And I think every single thing that we saw was in some capacity Agentforce related. New product offerings. We actually had an Agentforce prediction episode as well. But I expect that for things that were reactive before, you prompt and you tell, now it's going to be proactive. It's going to be, this is what I think you will need, an insight that you didn't even think that you needed. And that's how I think you shrink that time frame to give those insights, and you meet the expectation for, I need this answer right now, and I need to know the three other things that I'm not even thinking about as well. So I think Salesforce, how Agentforce is going to evolve, it's going to move from reactive to proactive and start giving those suggestions.
Yeah. 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 No, it's an exciting time to be alive. It is. It's a wild future. I think that we're all we all got a front row seat for, and it's I think there's just with the capability that exists today, and with what we believe is coming in terms of capability, man, organizations that are at all proactive around this are going to have such a leg up. And it's interesting to think about that just in the context of the customers we work with. We have worked with some very large organizations, but the largest cohort of customers we work with, sit below that enterprise level, and many make significant investment, others don't, and it's if there was ever a time to do this, it is certainly now, because I think for many, if they're not doing it, like there's such a I think the speed at which those who have already done it or who are engaging in this now to go and solve these business challenges through technology, enable
Hmm.
them, equip themselves, enable them to for the future. Um, I think that with this rate of acceleration that we're going to see, they're going to just be leaps and bounds ahead of their competitors. So it's an exciting time. We think back, Matt, to uh, you know prior to say 2020, say 2019. We'll go with 2019. They're like the market that we're in was very robust, but along came the pandemic, and man, it pulled all of this work forward. Everybody accelerated. And then there's
Yeah.
been this bit of a cooling off in terms of just they made investments, and they weren't looking to make future investment. But now this next wave, which it's only 5 years removed
Yeah.
from that last
Crazy.
acceleration. It could be very interesting to see just what our customers need to do to keep up and to win. So it's going to be fun to be part of it and see these organizations really thrive. So that's all I got for 2026 predictions. I think these, both you and I are aligned. These are bigger, broader bets that are being made, and they all point back to AI, and it's going to be exciting to watch it unfold. So I think we'll wrap on that. Thanks everybody
Great.
for tuning in, and catch us on our next one. And as Matt had shared earlier, we've got customers. Just other industry experts that we're talking to. So if you're watching this and you've enjoyed it, tune into other ones. We've got lots of other exciting content that we're doing. So thanks for joining us today.
All right. Thanks, Scott.
This has been another episode of Belmar Bytes, brought to you by Belmar Consulting. You can follow us on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or on our website at belmarcloud.com.